Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayo. Thank you for stopping by again. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this really beautiful wrap dress, okay? And it is a mixed print wrap dress. And without further ado, let's get started. So guys, for this tutorial, I'm going to be making use of this two prints. And for this style, you are going to need about 3 to 3.5 of each of the prints. Alright guys, so to get started, I went ahead to cut the back piece out. Alright, I will be using this to cut out the back piece. And what you need in cutting this is to divide your bust by 4. In this case, it is 9.5 inches for me, and I added about 4 inches as seam allowance, and also for that also, okay? So divide your bust by 4, then you're going to add 4 inches to that, and the length of it is going to be your half length plus about 1.5 inch allowance for joining at the waist and also joining at the shoulder. So right now we can go ahead and start drafting the back piece. So here I just indicated the start line, which is also the shoulder line. And right here, I will just go ahead and mark my shoulder divided by 2, and that is 7.5 in this case. And the next thing I will do is to go ahead and mark out my chest line. And in this case, it's going to be shoulder divided by 2 plus 1 inch, and that will be 8.5. all right, and that is what I just indicated in that place. And I'll just go ahead and square it up like so. And up next, I'll create the neckline for the back, and I'm using the width of 3.5 inches and the depth of 1.5 inches, and I'll go ahead and create a round neckline for the back. And right here, I'll just go ahead and place the tape measure at the start line, and I will indicate my bust point, which is 10 inches in this case. I'll go ahead and mark a straight line on the bust point here, and that is where we are going to measure out our bust circumference. And in this case, it is 9.5 for me, so I will indicate that here, and I will repeat the same process on the chest line here. I will indicate the bust circumference divided by 4. And right here on the chest line, I'll go ahead and add 1.5 inches allowance here, and I'll repeat the same process on the bust line. Then I'll come to the waistline and go ahead and impute the quarter of my waistline, and I'll add 1.5 inches allowance, then 1 inch allowance for that. Alright guys, so the next thing to do is to create our shoulder slant, and I'll come to this part, come down by 1 inch, and from there I'll connect to the neckline like so. And the next thing I'll do is to come to the armpit area here, and I'm going to divide whatever I have there by half, and I'm going to indicate that there, and I'll just go ahead and create the armhole curve like so. To create the dart, I'll come to the bust point and impute half of my nipple to nipple measurement, and I'll put that on the waist area too. Then I'll connect on a straight line, and afterwards we are just going to go ahead and create our dart of 0.5 inches, all right, on both sides. Then I'm coming down here on the bust point by 1 inch, then I will link it together to create our dart. Then I'll go ahead and notch the dart area like so. And before cutting it out, I'll just go ahead and add half an inch allowance to the shoulder area, then I'll cut the pattern out. And for the front piece guys, this is one of the material that we are going to use, and it's not on fold. And because we are making a wrap dress, we are going to need 6 inches extra on the front, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 6 inches on a straight line like so. And after leaving this 6 inches allowance on the front, the next thing to do is to place the back pattern on it like so. And right now I'll just go ahead and hold it down with a pin. And right now the next thing I will do is just to go ahead and retrace the half length on the front pattern like so. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and create neckline for the front piece, and I'll come to the center line here and I'll come down by 7 inches. And right now I'll cut out the excess fabrics using the back piece as a guide. And right here, I'll just use my chalk to highlight the shoulder area here so that when we are cutting out, you don't get confused, okay? So the next thing to do is to link the neckline for the front. So right from this neck width here, we are going to connect it to the 7 inches that we marked. So at this point, guys, you can just go ahead and remove the back piece, all right? And the next thing to do is to come to this point here, and we are going to go up by 2.5 inches, and I will indicate that here. And the next thing to do is to connect the point together like so. And right now, I'll just place the back piece back on the front piece so that I can notch the part where the dart is. And the next thing to do is to cut out the pattern. And right now, we're going to use this pattern to cut the other piece. And so here, guys, we have both the front piece right here. So here, guys, on the 6 inches extension that we have on the front piece, I will also go ahead and give it a notch. And on the armhole for the front, remember that the front armhole is always deeper than the back. So I'll just go ahead and trace out a little part of the armhole, and I'm going to cut the part out. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out the lining piece for both the front and the back piece. And that's exactly what I've done here. I went ahead to cut out lining piece for the front piece and also the back piece. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut the lower part. And to do this, I'll fold the material in an angular manner like so. And right here, the next thing I'll do is to divide my waist by 4. And whatever value I get, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 inch to that. So guys, the waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inches gave me 9. So here on this part, I will find where I can get 9 inches, and I will go ahead and create a straight line just like I'm doing right now. And here I'm just checking to make sure that I have 9 inches on the line, and I'm not going to be adding any joining allowance to this, all right? And this will come in handy later in the course of our tutorial. And the next thing to do is to mark our skirt length, and all you need to do is to go ahead and minus the half length from your gown length, all right? And whatever you get is your skirt length, and you're going to add folding allowance of 1.5 inches to that. And that's exactly what I did, and I got 30 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and start marking 13 inches like so. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out the piece. Alright guys, so the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut the front piece, and we're going to be using the back piece to cut out the front piece. Remember that there are 2 prints on the front piece, so here's just one of them, and that is why I'm not folding the front. All right, so here I will just place the back piece on the front piece, and I'll make sure that I have extra 6 inches at the front like so. All right, I'll place it correctly, making sure that I have allowance of 6 inches. And here I'm just going to go ahead and start marking 6 inches, all right, for the wrap of the skirts for the front. Okay, so just go ahead and follow the shape and start marking 6 inches all the way to the waist of the skirt. And the next thing to do is just to go ahead and cut out the piece. You are going to use the back piece as a guide. And this is what you would have after cutting it. So I'll just go ahead and notch the 6 inches extension that we have over there. And the next thing to do is to use this new front pattern to cut the other print. And right here guys, these are the 2 front pieces. And here guys, I went ahead to cut out the belt for the dress, and the width of this belt is actually 5 inches, and the length of it could be as long as your waist plus 20 inches. Okay, so here guys, for the sleeve, I have a basic sleeve right here. Normally what we have on the style is actually a balloon sleeve, and it is full, okay, but we don't have enough material to make that, so I'm just going to modifying this basic sleeve. Okay, I'm going to be employing splash and spread method. Okay, so I'm just going to be marking 1.5 inches all around the sleeve, and here I'm connecting the point mark towards the peak. And the next thing to do after creating the slash lines is to cut through them. So here guys, this is the sleeve. I went ahead to cut through the whole thing. All right, if you don't want pleat at the peak, there's no need to cut through it, just cut it a little bit, then we are going to spread it. So here on the fabric is on fold, and I'll just go ahead and start pinning the sleeve to the fabric. And remember that the sleeve has a shape. Okay, so I'm going to try, as I'm spreading it, I'm going to be following the shape of the sleeve also. And after pinning it, this is what it looks like. So here I'm just using chalk to highlight the shape out. Okay, and this is what it looks like. All right, so I'll just use chalk to, you know, highlight it out. Then on this down part, if you want it to be more fuller, you can just add about 4 inches downward. All right, but I'm not doing that because I'm trying to manage my material. Okay, so here is the shape that I have, and I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So this is what our sleeve is looking like at this moment, and I'll just go ahead and notch it, and we're going to use this pattern to go ahead and cut out the second piece using the second print. And right here I've gone ahead to cut out the second sleeve, and up next I'll go ahead and start attaching the lining piece to the upper part. And this is the back piece. I'm going to align it to its lining, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch the neckline and also the sides. And for the front piece, I'll also attach the lining piece, but you have to get your belt ready, and that is what I've done right here. So I'm going to be attaching the belt to it, and we are going to be sandwiching the belt in between the lining and the main piece, like so. I'll attach the belt in a way that I have half an inch joining allowance down here. Then I'll put the lining on top, sandwiching the belt. Then I'll pin it like so. All right, then the next thing to do is to stitch it downward like that, and we are also going to stitch the side, and we are going to be repeating the same process to the other side. And so guys, this is it after attaching the lining to the front piece, and also the belt is in between the lining and the main piece. All right, and here is the half an inch that we're going to use to join the lower part together. So this is the other front piece, and right here is the back piece. I've also joined the lining to the back piece also. And the next thing to do guys is to join the upper part and the skirt part together, right? And before doing that, we are going to go ahead and take in our darts. All right, we are going to take the dart for the back and also for the front, and afterwards we are going to join the upper part and the lower part together. And right here guys, I've gone ahead to stitch the dart, as you can see right here, and I also went ahead to join the upper part and the lower part together. All right, this is what it looks like on the right side. Okay, and right here guys, you are going to be having an excess of 1 inch after joining the front together, and that is because we didn't add joining allowance when we were cutting our flare, and that 1 inch is what we are going to use to fold the center point like so. All right, so go ahead and fold with half an inch like so, and we are going to stitch it. Okay, and right here guys, this is our back piece. I've gone ahead to take in the dart, and I've joined the upper part and the lower part together. And right about now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and align the front and the back together, and we are going to be joining it at the shoulder, then at the side. And guys, while we are joining at the side, we are going to leave an opening of 2 inches for our belt to pass through, just on one side. Okay, so we are going to leave an opening of 2 inches around the waist area, all right, for our belt to pass through. And guys, that's exactly what I've done here. I've joined the shoulders together and also the side, and as you can see here, I left an opening for the belt to pass through. So when you open it up, this is what it looks like. What I did was to measure 2 inches on the half length here. All right, as you can see here, I measured 2 inches and I left the opening right there. Okay, I will stitch from there, then back stitch, then start stitching after the 2 inches again, and that left an opening right there. All right, and in order to secure the opening, guys, you can go ahead and put hemming gum on the sides like this, and you put hemming gum on the other side, then you're going to iron it. And another way to secure it is just to go ahead and top stitch around the opening. Okay, and the next thing to do, guys, is to finish the sleeve. And to do that, I went ahead to stitch the side of the sleeve, and after stitching the side, I went ahead to create a casing for our elastic to pass through. And here I left an opening for the elastic to pass through. So right now what I will do is just to go ahead and cut out an elastic that will go into it. And since this sleeve is a very short one, I'll just be using my bicep measurement to cut out an elastic. And for my bicep, I use 14, so I'm just going to cut 14 exactly, and I'm going to cut 2 of that. And the next thing to do is just to insert it into the sleeve, and after inserting it, we are going to join the sleeve to the main dress. So here, guys, I'll just go ahead and attach the sleeve to the main dress, then we are going to pleat and stitch on it. And right now, guys, I've gone ahead to attach the sleeve to the main dress, and this is what our dress is looking like. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in my next video.